Hello and welcome, beloveds, to another episode of Ask Dr. Mumbi. My name is Dr. Mumbi Saraki. How you doing? How's everything going? I really do pray that you are well in all your ways and that you're moving into living life truly in your own narrative, on your own terms, beloveds. It is even more possible now than it ever has been to take your life back. Like before, our lives, many of our lives were signed over, beloveds, to the devil many, many years ago. But because we've entered a new book, we've entered a new living book and we've closed out the old book, although it doesn't want to close out, but a new living book is here. And many of us have entered that. That means anything that was holding us in the previous book has no more power, beloveds. And a lot of you have, of course, been reaching out to me with great concern for your security, asking, how do I stay safe and kind of protected in this season and in the seasons to come? I always say, purity first, purity of thought, purity of action. But the most important thing, and this is a message that the Most High gave me maybe 2-3 years ago, your service is your security, beloveds. Because right now, Mama Earth is, she's kind of cleansing herself. We're all going through a cleansing. And Babylon is self-destructive, self-imploding. And so there's a lot of destruction, there's a destruction energy, destruction thoughts that are around us. And if you can slip and slide into the wrong destruction thought and you get caught up in the fall of Babylon, or you get caught up in the cleansing of Mama Earth, in a flood or a volcano eruption or something like that. And so the only security you have is to be of service to spirit, beloveds. Because you have to think, there's no love, okay, there's always love, but just follow me here. There's no this fake sympathy, this Babylon sympathy anymore. It's like, are you being of service or are you not? If you're not being of service, then it's okay for you to be recycled out and you try and come back, because we have to realize we're spiritual beings having this human experience. And there's been a mental leap into a new, mental reality. And if our minds aren't strong enough to make it into that mental reality, we can't go. We literally won't make the cut. We won't make the selection. That's how serious this is right now. Crazy, 2 jets just, there ain't no holiday coming up anytime soon. Anyway, beloveds, it's not a joking thing right now. How do you make the cut so that nature protects you? Why should nature protect you? If you're being a mental nuisance, if you're being mentally slow, if you're not getting with the program, you'll take yourself out as well. As I said, 2021 was like a massive judgment season and people were judging themselves with the choices they were making. But your service is your protection. Absolutely. Your service is what will keep you safe, beloveds. And before I even started my YouTube channel, Dr. Mumbi Show, which was all about news, and at first it was about exposing Kenyan politics. I was actually a radio presenter here in Kenya, and and I exposed a certain establishment and it collapsed. And so I got the Brotherhood on my back and they said, I would never ever work in media again, but I kind of embarrassed my family. So they came after me even more, beloveds. And they started to create this image like I was a crazy person because, smoking ganja and all this stuff. So it was just like, she's unstable, she's this, she's that, she doesn't work, she just parties every day. So they started to create this image like I was not just even a rebel, like I was unstable. And, and people would see me because I'm such a free spirit. People would see me and they'd think, because I'm not going to lie to you. Yeah, I'm hungover, whatever. But in that time, that was it really was a previous life. And so because of my free spirit and how I talk so freely and share, I would ironically match the narrative that they were spreading about me. And then all of a sudden I just started YouTube. But my YouTube, I started knocking the Kenyan politicians, exposing the Masonic Brotherhood and the Masonic Order and how, all these things that have been done. also a previous life, and how, Kenya, was the nest of Yah, and the reason that so many things, the people were in suffering and bondage, whereas foreigners came here and thrived, was because they had taken over many of our things. And it was these politicians who were using very heavy blood magic and blood sacrifice to run. So I was exposing them. So of course they came for me even more. Then all of a sudden, I felt the Spirit say, so they literally, I used to do this prophetic update every Sunday, and I just expose their plans, expose the wizards among them, and all this crazy stuff. And I got a lot of attacks, but it was great because it was like I learned a lot about how to defend myself. And I came online spiritually. Anyway, there's a reason why I'm sharing this story. So, beloveds, they continued with this narrative. And then basically, the Kenyan government, like, totally shadow banned my channel. So it was, I went from having like 50, 60,000 views to having like 3,000. So then I felt the Spirit leading me to say, do news on Africa. And so that's when I shifted to Africa. And it's just like I shifted at exactly the right time, because I was about to be a major, there was a major assassination contract out for my life, or whatever. I don't know how else to put it. I mean, it sounds so dramatic, but this is real life, beloveds. And so they had wanted me to get me out of the public eye, and then they could easily take me out and no one would have ever known, whether it was a freak accident, whatever. But then I got into doing news on Africa, and then I developed this global family, beloveds, and that global family became my security. They saved me because now I had too many eyes on me. Because I used to be followed, my phone used to be tapped. I mean, they still tap my phone once in a while. It was crazy out there. And of course, I provoked the beast, I exposed his secrets. So I'm not even, about that. But I found, like, in my service, because now, with the level of spiritual maturity I have now, I don't know if I do the crazy things I did back then, and the crazy shows I would do, speaking out in ways that many Kenyans, because we're so reserved, were totally shocked by. But I found, beloveds, that because of my audience, because I was doing in service, even though I was still trying to figure out what service, but I was still in service to Spirit. I was still piercing the veil. I've always told you guys, I'm here for the revolution, not for the likes, like for real, for real. Because I've been dealing more with my survival, like behind the scenes. Now I'm good. I'm like in recovery mode. But behind the scenes, I was fighting for my life. So I didn't really have time to pay attention to what was happening online. But this was my protection because it was my service to the Most High. Let's take a short break. We'll be right back.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up.
Welcome back, beloveds, to Ask Dr. Mumbi. My name is Dr. Mumbi Saraki. A lot of you have been asking me, how do you stay safe and secure in the seasons and times that we're in? And I really just feel, be of service to Spirit, beloveds. Get into your work of service. And your service may not take up all, you may do your work and then your service is something small that you're doing, but be of service to humanity. Start fulfilling your calling on whatever level. Even if you're just at the beginner level trying to help one or two people, start somewhere. Give Spirit a reason to save your life. Literally, beloveds. Like, you shouldn't feel entitled, because you're a reincarnating being. So if you don't make the cut, you'll be taken out and you'll now have to stand in line to try and come back in again. And there's many people who have contacted me and said, they communicated with their passed on loved ones, and they found like they were telling them how, cherish this life. Because we're in line right now trying to come back, like, oh, shoot, we wish we hadn't fallen for this, or we wish we hadn't fallen for that. And, there's so many people that are trying to come into the earth realm right now. So, there's like a long queue. Like, beloveds, this is not a joke thing. And if you are a nuisance to Spirit, you will get taken out. If you are in the Babylon system, Babylon is falling. So you'll have the signature of Babylon and nature won't know the difference. And with the story I was sharing, beloveds, That's why I moved beyond African news to now spirituality, because they tried to shut my channel down because of everything I was exposing. And I've been targeted by president. I mean, if you know my Dr. Mumbi show and the news I used to do, then you'll understand what I'm saying. I was targeted by different presidents, beloveds, and these three-letter agencies. But in the nick of time, just when there was that huge purge of, black consciousness channels, around the George Floyd time, I moved into this spiritual channel and into really what is really more of my spiritual calling. But in all of that, beloveds, my service, regardless of how that service has been, regardless of whether at first I was giving that service through the religious psychosis mind of I'm a prophet and, God is saying this and Jesus, regardless of how, I don't want to judge anyone, but I was doing the service that I felt I need to do, because you see, lives are at stake here. If you're a chosen one, it's not like a title where you just sit back and you're like, I'm a VIP, let me just, no. There are people who are waiting on you, your knowledge, your healing, your presence, you to just run past them one day. There's information that will give you, that will change, that you will give them, that will change the very trajectory of their lives, beloveds. Lives are at stake. And so in your service is in your security, beloveds. And there is great reward to work for spirit. Because spirit is always like, dream bigger. You want a house, you want a farm, you want a beach house, dream bigger. Those are small material things. Dream bigger. How about you want to fly? How about you want to be able to, heal people with your hand? Just in your service is your security and your prosperity, I might add. Because you'll find, like, once you get into your service, it will make you money. And that won't even be the motivation, and never allow it to be the motivation. Because spirit will always test you with things that are uncomfortable or that kind of push you beyond your boundaries. Spirit will push you to give certain messages that will make you uncomfortable or put you in an uncomfortable space with people. In your service is your security, beloveds. That's how you slip by your enemies. Many of us are on here because as long as we're on here, then the covens that are after us can't really touch us, beloveds. And not just being on here, I'm just giving it as an example. But the fact that we have people's attentions means they can't come for us directly, so they have to come for us covertly, I remember, beloveds, the last attempt was to try and put me in a psychiatric home. I got a call from a loved one's lawyer who was like, oh my gosh, and I was traveling a lot at that time. I think I'd gone to speak in Washington, D.C., at the Straight Black Pride event. Anyway, I got a call from my, I would say my relative's, lawyer. You'll be able to figure it out if you're really that whatever. And he was like, listen, you're traveling too much. We need to sell a certain property. So can you give us your power of attorney? And, Spirit has always made me feel like whenever anyone, especially the enemies of your soul, approach you or their representatives, don't act right away. Sit and allow Spirit, your spiritual team, to come and tell you what exactly is going on. So, so when he told me that, I was kind of puzzled, but it made sense, because it's like, I'm traveling, they'll need to sign the papers, blah, blah, blah. But when I sat back, I was like, doesn't power of attorney allow you to put someone in like a psychiatric hospital? Doesn't power of attorney allow you, literally you control that person's life? And that's what came to me. And that was, and then I explained, and now I started thinking logically about the request. And I was like, it doesn't even make sense. Because I'm available, I'm online, I have access to printers and everything. So you can just send it to me. I send, you know what I mean? Like, I saw the trap. Because we are living, like, right now, beloveds, in the worst nightmare of our enemies, because we're waking up. So get into your service, beloveds, because there's a war going on out here. And your service to humanity, your service to nature, your service to the cosmos, because it's not just about this level. Many of us are operating on multiple levels, is what will actually protect you and help you prosper and really fully, like full joy this life. Because it's funny, I've never had as much fun as I'm having. I've never been as at much peace and just, you know, living in true abundance, beloveds. It just may be me, myself, and I and my spiritual team right now, but truly I am in a great place of peace. And it's all because even in my brokenness, I was still trying to see how can I be of service to the Most High. And the Most High is the most faithful. The most true, omniscient, omnipresent. And miracles will start to unfold. Your service is your security, beloveds. Tuko pamoja.